Because there's so much about this moment that is trying to make people feel like they've lost their mind. When in fact, these motherfuckers are crazy.
Welcome home, y'all.
What's up, sis?
This is an inauguration of sorts.
100 episodes of truth, fire, and unapologetic conversation.
But still in a job.
Different interest in mind. They didn't get appointed on the same that the others got booted out for no reason.
And here's the thing that stood out to me.
By Congressman Gregory of New York.
Some legends. Woke progressivism, woke culture warriors, woke bureaucrats.
It's Native Lamb Pod here with the Breakfast Club.
The conversation just got bigger.
Bakari Sellers.
I love you guys. I love you guys. No.
Welcome home to the native, landing on a podcast space destined for greatness. 60 minutes or so hit, not too long.
Welcome home, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Native Land Podcast. This week is our 100th episode, and we're so proud to be here and join you guys as we always do to talk about everything that's going on in the culture around us, politically, sports, entertainment, all those good things.
Andrew, you look so different. Like,
Andrew ain't never looked this good.
Do you remember how I used to tell you that?
Andrew!
People used to think we were the same person.
Yes,
and now
all
we're
the time.
physically in the same space, brother.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
It's good to see you. I'm glad to be one in the number, as they say, where we're from.
That's right. Now, the difference, of course, between Bakari and I is Bakari gives himself compliments. I tend to wait for them to be merited.
Welcome home, Bakari Sellers.
Welcome home.
Clap.
Official.
Please clap.
Yes, indeed. That's right. That's right.
It is official.
Yes. Welcome.
It is official. I love it.
How was my open?
Oh, it was amazing.
Very good.
It was very chill.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. I give you a B for not Beyonce.
I mean, usually I'd be like, boom, 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 boom.
How else could you open after you hear somebody say these motherfuckers are crazy? I think that was the best.
Exactly.
Because they really are crazy.
They really are. So I know I want to get into Bakari, but first we got to let our viewers know on this 100th episode, what are we talking about today?
Beyond
Beyonce?
Beyond Beyonce, we are also going to talk about, speaking of these MFs are crazy, this government shutdown that is still going.
Yeah. I want to get into MAGA invading Black spaces. Not just taking over our cities, but also this turning point idea of coming to college campuses. I'm not feeling it. I don't know if the young people are going to show up or not. I don't think they should, but I want to hear what you all have to say.
Well, I'm interested in letting the audience get to know Bakari a little bit better. We all know, of course, why this man is on the platform, has graciously agreed to join us on the platform.
Graciously.
But I know that the listeners and the viewers, our family out there, want to know what they can expect, and you'll get a good flavor of it today. You've already gotten, confidence on steroids, but the rest of it is to come.
What do you want to talk about on your first?
I'm just happy to be here. This is family. This is not an adjustment. There'll be no adjustment period, because we all talk, and every day you guys are texting me for advice on how to be better.
Oh my God.
How to be better.
How to be better. I mean, that is actually the name of our chat group.
MAGA has invaded this space too with all this misinformation.
Clearly.
It's amazing.
I want to talk about Kyron Lacey, young man at Louisiana State University. There's a lot of conflicting information and reports, but the way that we treat each other on social media is something, the cesspool that has become Twitter and Instagram, and we're raising kids in this environment too.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? What do we do? And I look forward to spending the next few minutes with y'all.
Yeah. Oh, if we have time, you showed us.
We won't.
I hope if we don't. Maybe we can talk about it on mini pod, but you showed us a video clip of Congresswoman Katie Porter.
Oh yeah, we need to talk about that.
Who's running for governor in Florida, who had this really...
California.
Yes.
What'd she say?
Florida.
Oh,
Florida.
Sorry.
No,
Thank
it's
you for
okay.
that correction. Me
She
either.
can blend in.
It is.
No, but that, I mean, I
After
think
that Karen
I think
attitude,
when you're running for office, there are moments in time. It's like playing sports. There are moments in which who you are kind of shows through.
Defining
There's a defining moment.
It was an ugly interview. We'll show you guys the clip later, but let's get into the show.
All right, welcome home.
All right, Bakari. Angela, you were saying that you wanted to do a rapid round with Bakari, but I just want to say I'm actually thrilled that you're joining the show. I find it hilarious that you fancy yourself the Beyonce of our crew.
Correct.
But I have known you. We've all known you. Our friendship stretches decades, and I think the thing I'm most excited about is all of us are friends, and the conversations we have here, we have them the same. Angela and Andrew and I went to dinner this week, and
They
people,
didn't invite you.
No, Bakari was flying in.
I was booked and busy.
He was booked
yeah.
and busy as
Yeah.
always, but we were at the table laughing so hard, and people had recognized us, and they were coming up saying, "We love Native Land Pod. What's happening? We heard y'all were canceled." I just want to say, I'm throwing Angela under the bus. It was this one.
All
She
of
made
it.
us do it. She made us do it. What
I
would you
just
like
want
to
to
All
say?
say for the record that it was my idea. And I want to say that it wasn't 5 seconds that went by before these two were absolutely on board with it. Because it was not a wide shot when I said these two, I will say it's Andrew to my left and Tiff to my right. And the idea really was, it's hard to break through, which is something we talk about on this show all the time. It's hard to break through in this news environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you have to get creative. Perhaps it was a little too cunning. I don't know. But we just wanted people to realize that, yes, Culture Con was our last show together as a trio.
Yeah.
So their tripod became a quad pod.
Quad pod.
And on that note, I want to say, Bakari, we all had the opportunity when we started the show to tell people stuff about ourselves that they may not know. And so we wanted to ensure that you had a proper introduction to Native Land Pod's audience. We're sure some of the Bakari Sellers podcast audience will also come over. But just want to give you an opportunity to have the floor and tell your story, and we can ask you questions on the other side of that.
Yeah. So
But it's important before you start that it must be vulnerable. Generally, some people don't know, and if it could bring you to tears, that'd be a real plus.
what would I do without you? So before I get started telling you who I am, I've known Andrew since my time at Morehouse College.
Yes.
And Andrew was a phenomenal young man who had been SJ president, but was kind of figuring his way out in city politics. Of course, Angela, the first time we met, you were executive director of the CBC at the time, grinding away, herding cats. That is a very, very...
Herding feathers.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That was a very, very difficult challenge and tasks. And I believe your chairman, one of the chairmen that you served under was Emmanuel Cleaver, if I'm not mistaken.
Only one.
Great and awesome human being, great and awesome leader. And that's when, the caucus has had its ups and downs in terms of perception.
Oh, Bakari, I'm sorry to do this to you, but you got me. CBC, I just want to send a special prayer to the family of Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick, who
yes.
passed away as a former CBC chair. I can't not think about my CBC family.
Yes.
Brought that up. So rest in power, Miss
I was,
Kilpatrick.
and then yes, that was a segue. I was just going to say the strength that you all displayed at that time. And one of the things people don't know about the CBC, it's a family, and I don't think people really know how close those members are, those staffers are. And so that was my entree into meeting Angela. And then Tiffany has been, I don't think people really know that Tiffany has been in every level of journalism. And that is why her knowledge and probably disappointment comes from what you've been able to see and gain and garner from working at many different institutions. And she, as I was talking on the way over here, she's the only true journalist we have. And so I believe that shines through quite often.
Yeah.
I tell people in the barbershop, I get paid for my opinion. And then you have people who are true journalists. And there is a clear line between the two. I guess for audiences who may not know who I am, I think that my story starts February 8th of 1968, when my father, along with 28 others, was shot. 3 were killed on the campus of South Carolina State in what's known as the Orangeburg Massacre. My father was not only shot, but he was arrested that night. He was charged with 5 felonies, looking at a maximum of 75 years in prison. He ended up having his bond denied and serving a little bit of time on death row while his bond was denied. His bond was eventually set about a month later at $50,000. And so that was a great deal of resources for my grandparents. And in between the time where those 3 young men were killed, and Henry Smith, Samuel Hammond, and Delano Middleton, and my father's eventual trial, all 9 officers who fired shots into the group of students were tried. Random footnote, it was the first and only time in this country's history that, the first time in this country's history that law enforcement was charged with federal civil rights violations. Federally, and they were all found not guilty. My dad went to trial. His indictment was backdated from February 8th to February 6th. All the charges were dismissed except for one. And he was charged, tried, and convicted of rioting. And my father became the first and only one-man riot in the history of this country. He ended up serving a year of hard labor. And we have this amazing picture of my dad where he's sitting with his prison blues on, and he has this white little prison number on, and my mom sitting beside him. And it's the first time my dad saw his daughter. My sister's name is Nosizwe Abadame Sellers. Abadame means born while father's away. It was a powerful picture. He was feeding my sister, and they took that photo on, you're old enough, Andrew.
Polaroid.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. Polaroid. Polaroid at the time. Another inmate took it, and that was the first time my father was able to lay eyes on my sister, was in the prison cell. And so, somebody who has seen all those things, Jimmy Lee Jackson, Medgar, Emmett, all those things, very close with King. King actually performed my dad's first wedding in the basement of, I joke with my dad, he doesn't find it funny, I don't think, but King didn't get everything right. I mean, he did the first wedding, it lasted like 6 months.
Oh God.
But he was very close with King and very close with Stokely and Julian and all of those heroes and heroines. Shout out to Judy Richardson at the SNCC Project over there. Marion Barry, Uncle Marion, I was really close with Marion Barry. And so that was my village. I'm a product of the proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. My village was unique because it had people like Uncle Jesse, who is Jesse Jackson. Shout out to Uncle Jesse, was born in 1941, I believe, and his birthday is October 8th. So shout out to Uncle Jesse on his birthday. And I think that down south, you give people their flowers while they're living.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
And so I want to do that. And, I have grown to define myself, contrary to what Andrew may say, that I don't like to necessarily write my own obituary. I think when people go up and start reading all these accolades, that's for other people to say. But I do define in my my number 1 and 2, and 1A is very clear. That's I'm a husband, and 1B is I'm a father. And so Sadie, Stokely, and Kai you'll hear me talk about them a lot on the show because they are my world. It's the reason I can never put my phone on D&D. It's the reason that my anxiety level is always high. It's the reason that I understand freedom as a concept that we'll talk about a lot, because I can't be free until we all are free.
Yeah.
And so I look forward to it. My story is just as complex as all of you all. You never know what people go through. And I think that we have to be able to put ourselves in the shoes of others every now and then.
Here.
I love that.
I do too. Cliff Notes, he's royalty,
Yes.
civil rights royalty.
Yes.
I won't run from that. I think
You
that,
shouldn't.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Yeah, I definitely won't run from that because I think that those stories are, and the further we get away from them, and for people of a certain generation who are watching, my challenge to all of you all is like, you were challenging younger generation on the Breakfast Club. My challenge to older, more seasoned folk is go down to Walgreens or to Wayne Reed or CVS or whatever you got, get one of them little 89-cent composition notebooks and begin to write your story, because there's an entire generation of folk who birthed us and raised us whose stories aren't being told, and they're not.
Yeah.
Or they told them and their books are banned. Or they told them and they were on websites where, the federal government is deciding what should be history or not. And that is in and of itself violent. So, in a land, in an era where facts in and of themselves are now arguable, debatable, it is most important, if we have to go back to what it means to be a griot, then so do it. Then do it.
And it's interesting because you and Bakari both descend from
for sure.
activists.
Eddie Rye. Listen, let me just tell you
Eddie Rye
something.
Jr.
I love that show. And whenever he asked me to be on that show,
his
radio show.
Urban Forum Northwest.
Trust me, I still get the emails. I'm on the email list.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Eddie Rye Jr. had an email list, but I got one, and I still follow it on. Have you been on it yet?
I haven't. I've been
How many
invited,
times
but
has
we
he
haven't.
asked you, AG?
And how many times have I said yes? Every time.
Oh Lord.
Trust me, the invite's coming this week, and I follow it on Facebook, and I love me some Eddie Rye Jr. And people, you have to remember that the sacrifices that we paid. I remember he was telling me a story about his efforts to get a King Day in Seattle, right? And you just don't. You don't know the struggles that we're so disconnected sometimes that you don't know the struggles. And I would love to read that stuff. And
you and Angela, like, it should come as no surprise to your parents and people who knew you all growing. You have a choice around.
No choice.
Oh, no choice.
How the depth at which you feel these issues, the consequences that are not yet felt but can be predicted as a result of the actions that power takes, and also how to negotiate your way around it to get the result that you want. I think we should never run from legacy within our upbringing. Some people attempt to try to make you feel bad for having had certain lived
Definitely.
experiences, that you are in some way not connected because of that lived experience. Well, you may not share the same lived experience as everybody, but you got one that I think is important and powerful that we have to uplift and also platform in our community, and those who have come through the legacy of people who were frontline fighters on the civil rights movement. Now, everybody is today, right?
Yeah.
Except when you consider, close to 5% of us who had the opportunity to be active then as Black Americans weren't. And that's okay because people have to negotiate their involvement from the space in which they're at. And for some people, losing your job was what was on the line.
Yeah,
to
and
be.
that story. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Or life. You're right.
No, I was saying that story you were telling is fascinating because I think we teach leadership really perversely in this country, which is a whole nother conversation. Because we always try to denote leadership as being defined by how many followers do you have, when like leadership begets other leaders. That's that's what they taught us at Morehouse.
Well, I'm glad you were taught.
Yes.
Thank you. But I do think that when you have, when you write history or look back at history and it's rewritten, you look at particularly Black folk, everybody talks about how they were part of the movement. Everybody talks about how they marched with King when less than one of them was actually there.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell young folk all the time, leadership's really lonely. Like I was reading Condoleezza Rice's autobiography, and her parents were Baptist ministers in Birmingham, Alabama, and they were a part of a group of individuals who King was like talking to in the letter from the Birmingham jail. They were a group of individuals who was like,
I knew that before you said it.
like, no, don't come. You're a rebel rouser.
I knew that before you said it. These were the folks who said, not here. Don't bring your chaos here.
Correct.
I wanted to shift gears quickly back to you because this is going to be probably the one time where you get to have most of the attention focused on you.
No, more compliments.
And one thing that I appreciate about you and Andrew, given that you're two different people, is how you all represent Black fatherhood. The ways in which you all are very, very present in your kids' lives. I was very fortunate to have a very, very active father too. He couldn't do hair. He didn't make my lunch, but he did everything else. He would go buy it, like everything else. So I want you to talk a little bit. You talked about how they're your world. They've contributed to your anxiety, but there's some other parts of you that they've also helped you to unfold and uncover. What has fatherhood done? How has it reshaped who you are and how you show up in the world?
Well, it changes your life.
Everything.
Because somebody once said, and I think it was a comedian, who stated that when he had a daughter, when he had his son, it showed that he would die for someone. And then when he had his daughter, it showed that he would kill for someone. And I got him both at the same time.
Yeah.
Right?
Same.
But I also had this amazing young lady in my life when she was 3 and I was still figuring out life. I was 23, Kai, who is, I guess that math, I don't do math well. Maybe that'll work out, maybe it won't. But she was 3 when I met her, and she's my bonus daughter. And so the modern family is so different now.
Sure it is.
I mean, and so, you have these preconceived notions about what it is to be with a woman who has a child, how you accept that child, how that child accepts you, how your family looks. I love Vince. Vince is my daughter's father. And we're family. I love Vince's mom. We're family. It's like the family in 2025, it just looks different. We're all there to provide this environment of comfort, care, nourishment, substance for Kai. And she's doing amazing at Howard, right? And then you have these 2 little rugrats running around here losing teeth. I send Sadie to school and she has her hair slicked back and then I'm like, what child did you get jumped? Like, what child?
Wait till she start putting purses.
No,
her mama purses in the bag.
Oh, we have purses and we have lullaboos.
Those things.
Dang it.
It's like
those things.
Yeah, them things.
Forget it.
Yep, that one. That's exactly right.
Cost too much money.
What you call it just signed was it Naomi Osaka just signed a huge deal with them too. Whatever. So we're doing all that. She came out, makeup, everything. She's gorgeous. She went through a liver transplant. She's strong. She still wears her scar with pride. She takes her, 5 mLs of Tacro in the morning and at night. And then Stokely is just like, don't.
You?
Yeah, but he's like, no, he's my dad. He's real chill. It's like, Stokely is like, I'm going to just sit over here and chill out and relax. And, if you need me, and he smiles at everything. And that's his natural disposition. So, having children, I'd love to hear what Andrew says, but it just makes you kind of recalibrate because you really live for something else.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I add, and I hope it's probably true for you, is I was told it's like wearing your heart outside your body with all the elements having access to it.
Yeah.
And not being able to control what will happen to it. Mm-hmm. And so my kids are an appendage of any organ that's vital to my living. And you can't protect them from everything.
Yeah.
Like the elements impact your outside. Like the wind comes, the
that's
snow, the whatever, and maybe you can put a raincoat on, maybe you can shelter it a little bit, but by and large it's going to do what it's going to do. And so to have so much control and then no control about their safety and security, that's beautiful.
And you both have
literally got him teary-eyed.
I know, I see it. That's what you get.
And that's amazing because I thought you were emotionally stunted. So this is
especially around you, I am.
No, be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable.
You clearly have missed out.
That's why we always say that we fill our house with love, particularly around. I mean, and this is where I don't know how to raise kids. Okay, I always tell people that. Like, I don't give people parenting advice because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Yeah. Right? It's like one at a time. But I make it up as I go. But I do believe there are two things that I know for certain. One, we fill our house with love because outside is so hard. Yeah. And I know Sadie, I know the plight of Black women, I know all that stuff. But I am intentional about loving on Stokely. Yeah. Because Black men, when you walk outside, it's just a different set of obstacles that we have to go through. And a lot of times people haven't been hearing that. So I want Stokely to know, one, I've heard that, right? And so I'm trying to pour that into him. I just make sure that in our household, and as you probably do as well, just pour into Black boys as much as possible, fill the house with love, because when they leave their nest, I just think it's different. I mean, I don't do the oppression Olympics, but I'm very cognizant that I recognize that the plight of being a Black male in this country is one that becomes arduous and one that some just don't grasp. But also, I married well, and I outpunted my coverage, as we say. And Ellen gets mad at me for saying this, but one of the reasons, if not the thing that was most attractive when coming together as a partnership, and I believe marriages are partnerships, was the fundamental fact that I was able to see how she raised Kai. And she was such a good mom that I could see myself with someone. And then she's always like, why is number one always about, my child? It's not about the way I treat you. I'm like that because for me and for us, that is, I can't separate it, right? Totally. I mean, I can't separate it. Of course, the way you love me, you care for me, you hold me, those type of things. All those, when I take the honey pack and all those things.
Next episode.
But it's also the way that you are able to be a parent.
Yeah.
And everybody can be a mom, I guess, but being a mother and being a good mother is something that I look at it as a skill and a talent.
It is.
And you both have twins instead of twins.
Sure do. Boy-girl twins.
Boy-girl twins, I know.
Yeah, boy-girl twins.
We paid for ours.
Well,
I contributed to mine.
Yes.
I did too. You know how many times I was in that dark room?
Do you know how many times the room was lit?
I was in a room with a VHS, just ass on a chair. Magazines, chairs. Yes. This is one of the.
However, from any other support.
This is, but women don't know what we go through.
I had no idea.
Because you don't want to contaminate.
But people don't. Yes, and people don't know that you don't. Thing. I mean, you start. You know how many people that room is used.
It's pretty dried out situation.
Like hotels.
Yeah.
I think about the hotel.
Just ass on a used recliner. And you're just sitting in there watching a good old.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, more on that on Native Land After Dark. But honestly, just welcome home. I'm so thrilled to have you part of the show. Honestly, for our audience, Angela always envisioned this foursome here to be part of the show. I did read a lot of the Quad Pod Angela dropped one of the comments in our group chat because the plan was, Angela was like saying it was our last show as a trio, and people, took that the show was over, but we were being cheeky. And the point was there was going to be no more podcasts. That was like our little cheeky thing. And so when Andrew responded in the comments as a part of our cheeky game, Angela, really? Why'd you do it this way? We were supposed to do it together. And Angela's like, really? In the comments, you could text me. I just jumped in because I wanted to be a part of it. And I was like, yeah, exactly, Andrew. I'm going to respond to this on Thursday. And Angela's like, here goes Tiff messing it up. Like it was supposed
I was like, I said, you tell me when and where. Like, okay, you got a podcast.
But that comment that you dropped, the one that was like, this is BS. This has Angela all over it.
Yeah, we have some listeners who are so faithful. They know what part everybody played. So they were like, this has Angela Mischief written all over it. The fact that Tiffany came in, she's too nice. She couldn't hold the storyline. And then they were like, and the fact that Andrew commented on anything is a dead giveaway. It's a dead giveaway.
It's kind of a fact.
It is absolutely. Yeah. I was like, this person actually knows us.
I didn't even you have Instagram?
It might have been your shadow account.
Those
actually.
things do exist.
Andrew, this might have been her Kevin Durant moment, because now that I'm thinking about it, the fact that she even made herself nice in the comment means that might have been Tiffany's shadow account.
I was in an airport in it was a small airport, so it was Jacksonville or Tampa. Yeah. And I was at I was walking by and I kept hearing this voice. It was loud, and the lady was like, Andrew, and I didn't turn around, right? And here she comes. She was coming out of Subway. She was working. She stopped making this person sandwich.
Oh my goodness.
In the middle of the sandwich. And she came and she tapped me she said, Andrew, I voted for you. And I turned around and looked at her and I said, thank you. And please keep me in your prayers. Gave her a hug. She told everybody in the church. She said Andrew Gillum was nice as hell in the airport.
Oh my God. They gonna know it wasn't me then.
It would have been
I'm joking. You channel.
I said yes.
Whatever.
We should catch up.
So good to see you. All right. Well, people want to know how you feel about things. So let's shift and get into the show. One thing that I think we've all been really concerned about is this federal takeover of Black cities. And unfortunately, we had so much going on that we did not get a chance to get to what was happening in Chicago on our last episode. And I am personally devastated and terrified about what's happening there. Just this week, Donald Trump has threatened to arrest the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, and the governor, Governor Pritzker, and it's just frightening. But for our viewers, take a listen. This is sound from residents in this area where our own government descended from Black Hawk helicopters and seized this housing unit and zip-tied children, burst into apartments, just something unimaginable. So for all the people that was like, this ain't our business, this business has literally come knocking down our front door. Take a listen and we'll talk about it on the other side.
The alarming scenes coming out of Chicago. There was this early morning raid of an apartment building earlier this week that involved around 300 federal agents, including those rappelling down from a Black Hawk helicopter. As the Chicago Sun-Times reports, quote, armed federal agents in military fatigues busted down their doors overnight, pulling men, women, and children from their apartments, some of them naked. Residents and witnesses said. Agents approached or entered nearly every apartment in this 5-story building, and U.S. citizens were among those detained for hours. Agents claimed the neighborhood was, quote, a location known to be frequented by Trinidad Aragua members and their associates. DHS, of course, gave no evidence to support that assertion, and authorities did not confirm that any of the people arrested were members of the Venezuelan gang.
They was terrified. The kids was crying. People was screaming. They looked very distraught. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner because they was bringing the kids out too. Had them zip tied to each other. That's all I kept asking. Where's the morality? Where's the human? One of them literally laughed. He was standing right here. He said, them kids.
Meanwhile, Friday, federal agents handcuffed Chicago alderperson Jessie Fuentes and briefly detained her when she asked if they had a signed warrant for a man they were trying to detain at a hospital.
He has constitutional rights. Do you have a sign? No, you need to leave. Turn around here. Turn around and leave that. He is under. I'm going to arrest you. You are going to be placed under arrest.
Do you have a signed judicial warrant for him?
When you have masked men arresting elected officials on behalf of, by all evidence, an authoritarian government, where do we go from here?
I mean, first of all, let me just say that I think that the leadership that's being displayed on the front lines of the Democratic Party is something that is admirable. And when I say the front lines, I'm not talking about Washington, D.C. I'm talking about what you're seeing with Brandon Scott in Baltimore, what you're seeing with Andre Dickens in Atlanta, Frank Scott in Little Rock, Randall Woofin. And I have not been a big fan of Brandon Johnson in Chicago. I wasn't. I thought that the job was too big for him. I was very critical of him, have been very critical of him. However, during this time, and he's like found his footing. And, you know, the way that he's displayed, and we're not going to always agree, and, you know, it is what it is, but the strength and courage that he's kind of led his city through this time period, I believe, shows, and different moments are meant from different type of leaders. And I questioned his ability to lead when he got elected in his first few months. But this moment, he's really rising to that occasion. And I think that because from the outside, this is where, you know, you guys may differ. From the outside, when you ask just a typical person that you bump into on the street, how they feel about the National Guard or somebody coming in to help them tamp down crime, which they all know is a real thing, they're going to be like, that's fine. Bring it on in, whatever. I want crime to be out of my communities as well. I don't want my grandson or whatever. So listening to the mayors who are on the front lines of the city, who are actually articulating what's going on, why this is bad, et cetera, these should be the messengers that we platform, not the talking heads that we listen to normally on this issue.
That's fair.
You know, I think, first of all, I think Brandon Johnson should do a masterclass on how to handle when you're, you know, being faced with the National Guard, any national law enforcement invading your city, because he's been phenomenal. Even the idea of like ICE being stopped by ICE trucks, like I loved it. Like he was like, we're gonna barricade off the streets with the ICE trucks. I have to say that I think I can't believe that we're here in this moment where this is actually like a real conversation. They've mostly targeted Black-run cities. It is forcing us, I think the one positive, it is forcing us to unite and figure out how to have strategies around best practices with people who are not our body politic, who we don't normally agree with, and those mayors who don't normally agree. They're being faced with the same set of circumstances. There is some polling out though that says that people don't want national law enforcement in their cities. So maybe they thought the National Guard was going to appear one way, but right now in Chicago, it is the Texas National Guard. It ain't Illinois. You know, it is. So I think that somewhere deep, it feels like, okay, now y'all in our business.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's some really inappropriate lines.
Why can't you believe we're here? Because you said that, because I mean, Kamala told us, she literally said that they were going to be marching in the street.
We told people too. I think, you know, as I told y'all earlier, I really think it's the pace. It's a breakneck pace. I can't keep up. And I thought, one, probably part of it is like, you know, they say you can't change anything until you accept it. I'm having a hard time just accepting this is our reality, and I'm mad about it. So there's a deep-seated resentment and bitterness about where we are. So that's probably a part of it. But if I am to accept where we are, I'm still like, I can't believe that the number of people who won't push back, who won't take the time to fight every single battle with every fiber of their being, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
I agree with you around disbelief around being here.
Yeah.
Part of the disbelief around being at this moment for me is, contrary to history in this country, the various branches of government generally act to protect themselves, to protect their power and not to cede it. So presidents, regardless of party affiliation, they protect the executive branch. They protect the executive power of the presidency. The legislative branch protects the legislative power of that branch. And it doesn't matter if their president is of the same party or not. Correct. They are going to preserve their power. They don't give it away. The judicial branch, the weakest supposedly of the branches, because they don't have the power of the purse and they don't have a military to then enforce their decisions. Their power only comes through the acceptance of people's ability and willingness to accept their decisions. So the fact that of all three branches collapsing, the judiciary happens to be the one that it seems to be staving off the total collapse by itself. And by the way, to be more specific, the judges under the Supreme Court happen to be the ones staving off a complete and total collapse of every branch of government, bending the knee to the executive. The reason the framers created three co-equal branches of government was not to set one power above the other. And what we've now done is basically said, forget the democratic experiment. Yeah. It doesn't work. We prefer autocracy.
They've consolidated power to the executive.
They have conceded their power. It's not even consolidated. They're not jointly managing.
You're right.
The executive is doing what he's doing, and every of the branch appears to be collapsing to it. The other thing that is enraging to me about that imagery that we just saw is, when does the military decide that they are enforcing an unjust and illegal order? Mm-hmm. They are admonished to follow the commands of the commander in chief when they are lawful orders.
Yeah.
When do they decide that the orders that they're carrying out are not lawful?
How about that?
Because the military person who was sitting there laughing and saying, "Forget those kids."
Yes.
The others who are putting handcuffs on elected officials who are in public places and being told that they are now trespassing on what are public places. The Chicago City Council, I'm sure, puts millions toward their local hospital. Mm-hmm. She got more of a right to be there than they have to be there.
Absolutely.
So my fury right now is with those of us who are in this system, who have a role to play, a duty to carry out. When does their humanity show up in a way that says, you know what? It's an order, but this is an unjust and an illegal order, and I will not carry it out.
Yeah.
I just think people are tired, because as much as that enrages you, I think about the federal workers who are without a job, trying to figure out how to make their ends meet because of Medicaid cuts. Think about those people who don't have access to care or who are working at those places now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just, and to your point, I think that's what Donald Trump does extremely well. And I don't know if it's Trump, that's probably giving him too much credit, but Stephen Miller does extremely well, which is flood the zone.
Yeah.
They just put so much out there on us that it makes people extremely weary. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing right now. I also think it's all to cover up the Epstein files, but
I think it cheapens what they're doing to blame Epstein alone.
Agree.
It is no doubt a part of it. I think it is a convenient part of it. I think their intention has always been toward autocracy. The right wing has been writing papers, memos about the power of the supreme executive. I mean, they have a theory.
But this is how I view this conversation went, right? All right. Now, we've already said, because the first person to actually bring up the Epstein files was Donald Trump in 2015.
When he thought the Clintons were involved.
This was the first person to bring it up, right?
Yeah.
And so he made all of these promises. They brought out everybody. I don't know if you remember, they had all these right-wing influencers with these notebooks, and they held them up. And then Pam Bondi went on TV, and they were talking about the list, and she said, it's right on my desk. Yeah. I'm reviewing it, contrary to what she said this week in her oversight committee hearing. And I think what happened was, there was a conversation being had in the White House about the Epstein files and how this is really, really, because you had Marjorie Taylor Greene, you had all these individuals asking for him to be released, the right wing, Laura Loomer, everybody asking for it to be released. And they said, where do we poll well? We gotta figure out. We poll well on crime. All right, what do we want to do? Let's send some National Guard into some cities. We talked about doing it. Let's continue to do this. Where do we poll well? You know, you tick off those things and you begin to flood the zone. I actually think that, I think it was been written for years, but I think the impetus to do it now is because they were panicked.
The reason I reject it, and by the way, I hope it doesn't matter, the motivation in the long run.
And if they seat a girl, none of this will matter. I forget her name.
Who?
They seat what's her name?
The member of Congress who just got elected, and then they'll get the floor vote.
Yes.
But I think the reason why it is not helpful to make that the motivation or anything else really is that it lessens the consequence. It almost erases the very deadly and detrimental impacts their actions are having on our entire system of democracy. From this point forward, no, Democrat or Republican, I don't know that we'll ever see a president come into office who tries to give back what Donald Trump has cleaved through the executive branch. They never lose their power. Once that power is inured to the executive, we've never known a president who says, I want to give back this executive power. I want to give back the ability to send the military. I want to give all that stuff, then stays with the office. And I don't trust not one of them sons of bitches with it.
Well, and here's the thing. The invasion isn't just happening in our states and cities. It's also happening on college campuses. And to that end, we have a clip of what's happening with Blexit, especially around HBCU homecomings.
I like the way you move in this.
You called the East primitive, but what? We created y'all knowledge. We created y'all science. We created y'all math. Y'all didn't do shit besides steal. Y'all didn't do anything to your... You guys didn't make shit.
We walking them to the door, y'all. I don't even know how they got on campus. We gonna figure that out, but I don't know. They need to get like a trespass, like penalty or something because
sending them off.
Tell him it's that boy. He thought he was gonna come up like Charlie Kirk-wannabes.
Yes. Say good job, TSU.
Good job. Shout out to my good.
So this, I wanted to play this. This was actually at Tennessee State University, where students were like, not on our watch. There are actually, I think it was 3 white guys with MAGA who went onto the campus, set up a table for debate. And I think we're really expecting during HBCU homecoming, Blexit has announced a tour. We're expecting our students to keep the same energy. At least I am. Let's see what my co-hosts say. I want them to keep the same energy. Boot them off. Boot them off.
You say that too?
1,000%. And the reason why is this fight gets so removed from everyday people. The way in which we're even, dealing with the power, what branch of government functions in which way. This conversation, you're gonna come and you're gonna be a provocateur to me on my HBCU campus, reminding me that I'm not dirt, right? I'm not even equal to dirt, right? Mm-hmm. These folks are having to develop their own talking points, their own pushback. They're having to use their own lived experience to delegitimize these 3 white provocateurs who have come onto their campus to tell them that there's something that they're not, that their experience is something that it isn't.
If it's not that, let me set this up a little differently. We know what happened at TSU. Mm-hmm. What is a little different about this Blexit, which is black exit from the Democratic Party, if we contextualize what those people set up with Turning Point, I'm not even naming them. But if we are to contextualize this, it is black people, black faces who are going to various HBCU homecomings, inviting our students, our young people in the conversation around conservative policy. And so it's slightly different than the 3 white boys that go and set up shop at TSU.
No, they went to do the same thing. They laid out these pamphlets and wanted to talk about how their idea is more beneficial to black people. And what I'm saying is, it is helpful to us for all of our people to deepen into why it is they believe what they believe, to be able to articulate in their own words why your agenda doesn't work for me. Because otherwise, they wait for the politician to show up on the campus, on the HBCU campus during homecoming to talk about their race for office X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. And guess what? Once that campaign's over, that thing is off. What stays is that I've developed my argument. I know why I feel the way that I feel.
Right.
It came by the monastery.
I'm not going to comment on the reaction people should have when they come on campus. That is what it is. Either you can sit down with them or you can run them off. But there's a young lady in Columbia, South Carolina. Her name's Diane Sumter, and I don't know how old she is. She's more seasoned, though. Shout out to Diane Sumter, but she's been around politics for a long time. Yeah. And she's somebody that, when you're running for office, you always want her on your side. She helps black folk get city contracts, goes through procurement. And she's been texting me about this same issue for a long time. She hit me on Friday talking about, good morning. You can draw the 18 to 25-year-old black males to help them register, vote, and believe in this democracy. I will help you. Your leadership can make a difference. Diane Sumter, 10 o'clock in the morning. She's been texting about this just religiously. Mm. And while I hear about chasing them off campus or sitting down and engaging them, where are we in having these discussions where that vacuum exists?
Yeah.
And like I hear you, and I'm like, cool. At Morehouse, Morehouse is decently contrarian enough where there probably is 100 black folk who will invite. I mean, we have a Republican club.
Yeah.
We might even have a Talking Point USA charter at Morehouse. Turning Point. What did I call it?
It doesn't matter.
Talking Point, but that's
too.
accurate.
Yeah. So we may have that as well. But the question is, and you know, then you have a bigger and broader question. Like, is it a new organization? What does this organization look like? How do we get funded? Is the NAACP nimble enough in their youth division like it used to be? You know, where are we in doing this? Are we training our HBCU SGA presidents to do these things and have these discussions? And so, yeah, run them off campus is cool. Put them on.
But they didn't just run them off campus, though. That brother at the beginning of the video was saying, all y'all did was steal.
Yes.
We worked, we built. They deepened into a truth.
But that's why I'm saying I feel like, and Tiff, I want to come to you. That's why I feel like it's different, because that is a conversation point that works with white people.
Right.
You can't say all y'all did was steal this, and we're talking to black people. So how does it change or shift?
That's my point. I don't think you're going to change minds. You're not going to change hearts and minds. And so I want to hear from our viewers who are watching this, like how they think we should engage. Because a part of me, Andrew, I feel like you're giving them bodies, you're giving them faces. And so it looks like one of two things. One, it looks like you were able to attract this large crowd at an HBCU, which helps get them funding. Just for context, Turning Point was Charlie Kirk's organization that got funding from all types of conservative outlets. So you're saying, oh, look, this is working because there's all these people. Two, if there's a lot of conflict, then it shows, oh, it's mayhem at HBCUs. When Turning Point shows up, we need to send the National Guard. We need to send law enforcement to protect these white boys.
Or decrease funding.
Or decrease funding, or these black faces carrying white messaging to these campuses. Yeah. So my personal opinion is I would love for them to show up and nobody engage them. Like, you're not going to disrupt our Black Joy at HBCU homecomings. Like, that is the time that's so lit. It's safe. It's fun. You know, people are watching the halftime show. People are on the yard. People you haven't seen in years, and we need to protect our Black Joy.
But that's not been that too long.
But I'm saying, how does it look if they are sitting there by themselves talking to themselves?
My point is that ship is sailed.
It is sailed, and the information is getting to them anyway.
It's sailed because of the way that we consume information now in ways that, man, I don't have no Snapchat, mainly because Ellen don't want me to have a Snapchat, because why are you talking to people and your messages disappear after 30 seconds, right? So ain't really no need to have no snap. No, who you snapping, right? So that's first. But like Snapchat, TikTok, you know, the way that people are communicating with each other now. I mean, I'm on Instagram, and you know, I feel like I'm a little too young to be using Facebook like that. But they're streaming. I mean, like one of the examples I gave you, Kai Cenat. You know, there was a question about whether or not Kamala Harris was going to be able to sit down with Kai Cenat. He was on the front of Time magazine. Joe Rogan. You know, people.
Are you saying, though, that this messaging is penetrating the minds of our young people, and that's why they should show
not
up?
only is it penetrating the minds, and I would say that, yes, the answer to your question directly is yes.
Young folks, y'all falling for that. Y'all are listening to this.
But the reason being is because it's the only thing there.
It's reachable.
There's no counter message.
That's what he's saying.
This is the mirage.
It's like going to a strip club, and there's one stripper at the strip club, right? Regardless of what that stripper looks like, if she can dance, whatever.
She's getting all the attention.
Because it's a vacuum and ain't nobody show up to work yet.
Yeah, shout out to Blue Flame, by the way.
Magic City.
Sean Pittman asks this all the time.
Well, you said one stripper, that's Blue Flame.
Sorry to interrupt the stripper.
Sorry, apologies.
Yes.
One of the things he says is, what are we pretending not to know? This is I want to credit Sean Pittman with asking that question, because we're pretending not to know that this information is in mass.
Correct.
Taking up space in our community on all the places and platforms in which we don't exist. I hear the talking points coming back at us. People are recycling them as if they're their own, even finding lived experiences that they've had that they connect to these right-wing talking points.
That is so frightening to me. I feel so out of touch and out of the loop, because I did not think this messaging was penetrating the young minds of a Black child.
Exactly.
They know better. They can tell us better.
If we can, y'all, I think this is a really good opportunity. We talked about the invasion of cities and colleges. I want to throw to one more example. Someone who teeters on the edge quite a bit, shows up talking out of both sides of his mouth. He had this to say recently about Jasmine Crockett. Sometimes you get attacked by your own.
Our Jasmine Crockett chooses to express herself. I'm like, is that going to help your district in Texas? Aren't you there to find a way to get stuff done, as opposed to just being an impediment to what Trump wants? How much work goes into that? I'm just going to go off about Trump, cuss him out every chance I get, say the most derogatory, incendiary things imaginable, and that's my day's work. That ain't work.
He's got to deal with Black woman issues.
Oh, my God.
Writ large. and whatever self-hate exists within them.
That is self-hate. Before
I've never seen a clip of him where he actually praises a black woman.
That's what I'm saying. He's got black woman issue he's got to deal with. But
for those who are listening, that was Stephen A. Smith commentating about Jasmine Crockett's lack of work. For context, there was a poll that was recently done, and Jasmine Crockett's approval numbers amongst the American people rival Barack Obama's in 2008. So just for context, he is on an island unto himself. Because people see her largely working on our behalf. And I also want to say, we recently had Jasmine Crockett on. It was on my solo pod. And Jasmine is on the show talking about having to go get fit for a bulletproof vest. So this is not the time for this.
Yeah.
And it is very dangerous for this. So I hear you even on the danger, even on campuses, but I wanted to bring this in because this is the kind of messaging they're hearing on their sports platforms, on talk radio, all the time. There is a growing divide between black men and black women.
Oh my God.
And I think that some of them are also leaning more conservative in their talking points.
She's a congresswoman from Texas, and Texas has this open carry law. Governor Abbott is such a dangerous, problematic person.
He sets up a false argument.
Yes.
How much attention is this taken away from you getting whatever you need for your district? The Republicans control the House of Representatives, the Senate and the White House. They not letting her get ish for her districts. And so the best she can do right now, not just for her district, but for the country, is to speak up and hold them to account at every single level.
She does.
Are there black men that's listening to Stephen A. Bakari?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
but they would take that and take it seriously.
There are people who like
white men.
Yeah, and they think that
they
think that Jasmine Crockett talks with her neck
I'm not just saying
is too loud and snaps her fingers and all that, and they caricature her like he's doing.
Yeah.
And so my point though is that I didn't like the back and forth with Jasmine Crockett and Nancy Mace or whoever it was, right? But
Nancy Mace is the one that got violent. She was the one that said, "Let's take it outside."
I know them both very well.
Taylor Greene.
I know them both very well, and that just because I was in the legislature, so I look at that totally different. However, I will tell you that there is a through line between the Ice Cubes and the Jason Whitlocks and the Stephen A. Smiths, and these individuals and. Ice Cube may be slightly different than the other two, but these individuals have been around since we have been on this freedom struggle. There have always been individuals out there which exhibit behaviors of charlatans who utilize. Some people are in it for the change, and some people are in it for the change, right? And I think that that's indicative. And they find the easiest path to the front of the line. And Stephen A. Smith is someone who doesn't have the depth to talk about House oversight or the appropriations process, right? And how you're able to bring resources back to your community or what Jasmine is doing. So he rather lampoon her or instead of having a constructive conversation. And so I've said what I've had to say about Stephen A. Smith in my book anywhere I can. I don't have a lot of use for him in the political dialogue. I think that there are individuals who he matriculated with at Winston-Salem State University that are extremely disappointed about the man he's become.
It's so disheartening to me. It's frustrating, one, because anytime we speak on this, it's like we, man haters and all this. But I feel such confidence in black men. I've never bought into the idea that all these black men are voting for Trump. Like, they vote overwhelmingly Democrat. We're pretty much in line with each other. What you all are saying is no, they are, and the data shows that there have been inroads among black men. I want to ask why, because it is frustrating to me, and it feels heartbreaking, to be honest, because we are impacted by this system as well. It's not a matter of who's impacted worse. We're impacted differently. We sit at the intersection of being black and being women. And so when men are frustrated with this system, it feels like they fight us. And I would put Stephen A. Smith in that category too. I'm mad at y'all for having joy. I'm mad at y'all for having success. I'm mad at y'all for surpassing us on college campuses. And so it's a small sect of men that are so angry and hurt that they're willing to align with the people who oppress us. What am I getting wrong? Because if you listen to Stephen A. Smith and you find anything other than some absolute, pure, self-hating, little dick energy nonsense from that half-witted idiot basking in the non-existent rays of his own ignorance, it is sad to me that he even gets an audience of black men. Why aren't black men right now saying Stephen A. Smith. We banning him. We not listening to his podcast. We're not watching his show anymore. That's what Black women do. We organize.
But you asked the question why.
Yes, tell me why.
So, by the way, I love the usage of adjectives.
I'm sure I messed it up somewhere.
But the answer to the question why is kind of twofold. Black men showed up. We were the third largest demographic voting for. You had Black women, you had Jews as a collective, and then you had Black men, somewhere between 74, 76% voting for Kamala Harris. And so, yeah, it's not a large number. We still are there. But the slippage you've seen is twofold. The first is that there's been no party, no group, which for the past 20, 30 years has taken the time to listen to Black men holistically. And many times we are spoken to about policy. That policy revolves around things like criminal justice.
Mm-hmm.
But
weed.
And marijuana. But very rarely do we have fulsome conversations about the Black men who are out there struggling to pay for early childhood education, child support, right? You know, how that
wages.
You know, when the craziest thing is when you get locked up for child support, do you know that your child support continues to grow?
Of course.
Like your driver's license gets suspended.
It's an unbreakable cycle.
It's an unbreakable cycle, right? I mean, just opportunities, STEM opportunities. So just having a holistic, fulsome conversation around Black men is something that hasn't happened. The other thing is, which is a question that we have to answer, and hopefully we'll untangle it over the next, 100 episodes.
Certainly while you're here.
Certainly while I'm here is, there are a lot of Black men who question whether or not they have the ability to breathe and lead in an era of Black girl magic.
I will say what I would add, because I disagree on the latter point, but I do agree to this one, which is I think Black men want the bag too. And we on the Democratic side don't talk enough, if at all,
or listen
about how I'm gonna help you prosper. What does prosperity for us look like? So if at every turn you're the deficit end of the equation, every turn somebody's got to do something for you, you're not making room. And one thing that Trump's talking points appear to do is to put you on track or on alignment with getting a bag. I don't think that is wholesale widespread.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith, I think he does have issues with Black women, but I also think the brother's also trying to get and maintain and grow a bag. And he's similar to a lot of the Black Republicans who ideologically could not articulate anything worth mentioning, are out here caping because they're not in competition with Bakari Sellers or Andrew Gillum. But they're at the front of the line on that side because they're willing to say the things that white people think and don't get to say with license. But they got you, cape and clown, who's willing to say it.
Right.
And they get rewarded for it.
But he looks like money. He smells like money. He talks
All
loud.
of it.
He knows LeBron, even though LeBron can't stand him.
Yeah.
So he's there. He walks with a swag. He went to an HBCU, so he's the perfect messenger. And so when people come to him because he looks like he doesn't look. Black men are always in the mode of survival. Always. Yeah. And he looks like somebody who's thriving. So you're more inclined to listen to someone who has made it to some point.
It's an aspiration.
It's an aspirational thing.
Yeah.
So that is kind of the why. Like if Stephen A. Smith comes up, it's like the question is why.
I always wonder how did he get
if you all are willing, I think, because I know where Tiff is going.
Yes.
If you all are willing, this Black girl magic conversation era, I think this would be an excellent mini pod. What I would love to do, if y'all are okay, speaking of bleach, bad, blonde built butch bodies, who actually is aligning with Democrats right now as the government shutdown looms. Marjorie Taylor Greene has said that she is interested in preserving health care. Contrary to the fact that 82 times plus the Republicans tried to obliterate Obamacare, she wants to preserve a little part of it because she wants to ensure that premiums don't continue to rise. So there's a government shutdown conversation we're going to have, but before we do that, we're going to get to this question from the audience.
Hello, Native Land Podcast. My name is Matt Higgins. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. Have work also in Columbus, Ohio, so I'm back and forth quite a bit. From my perspective, I find it really difficult to reckon with the fact that the political right has deformed our political process to the point that it's unrecognizable to what it used to be. And I'm frustrated with the political left for spending so much time just simply refuting the lies that are coming from the right, and the racism and hate that comes from the right. I understand that it's important to do so, but I would like to see the left spend more time communicating their plan for the future. What are we going to do? And accurately, I feel like it's fair to say that, there's not a lot of progress to be made in the midterms outside of slowing down the agenda of the right. But if you rock with us to the next presidential election, and we have majorities in both houses, this is what we're going to provide for you. And I feel like that's a much more consistent and useful way to communicate with the American people. What do you think?
Matt, thank you so much for that question. Andrew, I want to come to you because, one thing that we keep seeing everywhere, no matter where we go, even if it's people responding to the podcast, people are constantly talking about how they really want you to run again. I know you're like, and I'm living a whole life since then, but coming to you because I think one of the most important pieces of the campaign you ran for governor was laying out a vision.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why this is so hard for the Democratic Party to do in a time where things are being taken off the table left and right.
Yeah.
People are suffering. It's such a, I don't want to say easy, but it's such low-hanging fruit.
It would feel that way, Angela, like it's low-hanging fruit to turn the page. But I don't know a better way to sort of demonstrate this. But if a building on our street is burning down, but we have plans for redevelopment a couple blocks over, and I spent my time talking to you about the redevelopment that we have a couple of blocks over, but the local media, the radio, my neighbors still see smoke plumes and are wondering what is going to be done about this fire that is right now raging. They are not going to have an appetite to hear anything I have to say about this new redevelopment taking place a couple of blocks over. I say that to say, absolutely, the Democrats need an agenda. Absolutely, they need a reason to give voters to go out and vote for them. But they also have to be present in the fight that we're in. And I know it's a frustrating thing, but there's no way we can allow them on our university campuses and not have a check to that. There's no way we can allow them to barricade down buildings like we're in the middle of Beirut fighting a war, but yet they're doing it on American cities and not have a response to that. We can't let Trump continue to run roughshod over the Constitution and not have a response and an answer to that. So this is a difficult one because it's equivalent to building the boat and rowing it at the same time.
That's the era.
But both have to be done. My fear, honestly, is that we don't have thinkers on our side that are right now planning for what that vision rollout next step is.
Yeah.
We're right now cinched in the war that's happening right now, and the strategy for overcoming, for what comes after, I don't think has been had. Angela, is one of the reasons why I wanted to know during CBC to members of Congress, who has the plan for accountability once this next administration is out? How do you get to be lawless for 4 years and nobody has thought about what the consequence of that is going to be?
Right.
Because I can tell you right now, Democrats are going to say, we need to turn the page. The American people are exhausted by what we've just been through and need to move on. And we won't have accountability for what happened this time. And the failure to do that is an invitation for the next time.
Absolutely. So Bakari, on this this same question, I think that you all are the resident Democrats in the building, and I have also run for office and won. Where do you think the agenda comes from? Do you think that the agenda needs to come from the people, and that's why?
Yeah, no, I'll be relatively succinct because there was somebody who I admired in the way that he grew the party and kind of took the party at that time out of the doldrums. And, for better or worse, we always look back at administrations with hindsight. But Bill Clinton always told me, whenever I would speak to him, he said, ideas win elections. And we've gotten away from that. And I was speaking at an event this past weekend at the York County Democratic Party. And I told the candidates and everybody there, please, for God's sake, stop talking about Republicans. Like, just stop. and start laying out a vision for the future, what you did on your campaign. How are you going to make people's lives better or different? And I think that we have kind of gotten away from that. A lot of the ideas and plans of, to Andrew's point, of the Republican Party are 30, 40-year ALEC type of initiatives that, think tank, and they get to a point. I mean, Roe v. Wade didn't get overturned overnight. I mean,
that's right.
The most consequential things we've ever had happen, since I've been alive, was, replacing Thurgood Marshall with Clarence Thomas. It was this battle that not many people know that was fought when the conservatives got so mad at George Bush about to appoint Harriet Miers that they made him appoint Samuel Alito, whose mission in life was to overturn Roe v. Wade. And then the fact that none of y'all gave a fuck about the Supreme Court and thought Hillary Clinton was like pissing in windmills in 2016 when she was trying to tell you that, the 3 most consequential Supreme Court seats we'll have are be up now. And so, I think that we have to learn from that history and have some vision going forward. But ideas win elections. And we right now are not a party of big, bold ideas.
We're not a party of big, bold leadership. Before we ever get to the ideas.
In D.C.
Well, unfortunately, our eyes are trained
Yeah.
on Washington because that's where all of the havoc seems to be emanating out of, that's showing up on our streets, wherever we live in America. I think it's very hard to trust a party with ideas or that they'll ever even pursue those ideas when at the moment where I need you to show up, where I need you to have a fight, where quite frankly, you're giving grace on whether you can get a bill passed.
Yeah.
Nobody's asking Democrats to pass a bill.
But we also have to do a better job of like I love Jasmine, and I love the fact that Jasmine plays her role. Like Jasmine has a role. I think we're all like.
I don't think she even begged for it. I think the role she has is one that she's had to fill.
People forget how brilliant Jasmine Crockett truly is. Like if you were to look at like her resume on paper, it like literally blows people's minds. But we also don't talk about Laura Underwood enough. Right? Or Lauren, Underwood, or Joe Neguse, right? I mean,
he voted for the Charlie.
No, he was not. He didn't vote.
He did
not vote.
He did not vote. But I'm just talking about people who are doing some of the things that you're talking about. Now, look, I'm not a purity guy, and I think the prism of the party has kind of shifted a little bit too far left. That's my Southern Democratic leanings coming out.
Oh, Lord.
But I'm not all about purity, but I do believe that we should uplift those individuals who have ideas.
I think, unfortunately, we're not in a place, space, and age that is making a lot of room for all of the new voices.
Yeah.
And where the center of gravity is going is who is in this fight right now.
That's true.
Who's present, who is showing up, and I don't think we should penalize. Can
you stop screaming at me? I'm new. You're screaming at me.
This is real deep in me because I feel strongly when we penalize the ones who are showing up. And that's not what you're doing. But I think writ large, what's happening with Jasmine is there's jealousy, there's being taken out. There are people who who are not being able to show up the way that she is, and they resent that they can't.
And she's also speaking to people that we have just plainly forgotten about.
I think she's speaking beyond them.
Well, and
because I like to think of myself as a person who can think deeply. And a lot of what she says is completely 1,000% resonant. I like the fact that she's willing to. I have to imagine that even there are parts of her that feels a little compromised, that she's only associated by certain people on social media with being able to do a clapback, right? It's beneath her station. She's doing the clapback because sometimes the moment requires a very swift kick.
It's for safety. And I think to that end, our safety is being violated over and over again. The latest violation is, of course, this government shutdown. Yeah. So I'm going to yield to you, ma'am. But I think that it's important for us to talk about where people are directly in harm's way. And the only fight back is to keep them in harm's way. That has, I think, the Democratic Party between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah. I mean, I would just say there are tangible consequences to this government shutdown that people are experiencing right away. I talked about this. People in my immediate family receive SNAP benefits. Those benefits will likely decrease. We've already been forewarned that funding will likely run out. And so that casts a dark shadow across a lot of things that's going to impact my money. I'm going to have to now subsidize somebody's full every need they have, from deodorant to toothpaste to tomatoes to greens to hot food or whatever. And so even though I'm not getting those benefits, I will be impacted. With our travel, all of us will be impacted as we see the airport lines getting longer. And I talked about this on the Breakfast Club when we look at in 2018, what happened with air traffic controllers, they began increasingly calling out sick because they weren't getting paid.
They already started this time.
Precisely. That puts our very lives at danger. And you think about the holidays coming up, people planning on traveling to see loved ones, that's going to go away. The funding for WIC, Women, Infant, and Children, all these people who are self-described as pro-life. I don't call them that. I think it's a misnomer. But they describe themselves as that. They voted for this. They're voting to take away resources from families. You referenced... or no, that was you, Bakari, who referenced somebody's premiums who made, 85 grand a year, and his premiums are going to shoot up from 3,000 to 25,000. These are the real life consequences that people are facing. And it is a frightening time. And I don't think people really care about the minutia of politics and what's happening in DC right now. I think they want to make the connection of how is this impacting me and what are people going to do to fix it. So when we talk about like communications and, like how are we messaging this to certain people, forgive me, you may have made this point already, Andrew. I think on one side, it's just always a very simple message, like we've talked about before. And yeah, these Black and brown people are taking from you. Like that's their only thing. And so it's not that they're such brilliant communicators. It is that they are all rooted in our destruction. And so I don't give them credit. I think on the left side, there's a bigger tent. And we all don't agree. Bakari just said, which I'm curious, we'll find out on this episode and other episodes, what does going too far left look like? Like, what is the
paradigm
policy?
shifted. But I do think that one of the more, I call it brilliant, shrewd, rooted in cruel strategies, it reminds me of Lee Atwater, who's like a South Carolina phenomenon, but he blossomed into it, was busing migrants to sanctuary cities, but not sanctuary cities in Kansas. Right? But he bused them to New York. He bused them to Chicago. And what were people competing over? Black folk were competing over resources.
Yep.
And we never filled that void. I mean, everything I go back to is like, we either fill the void with a bunch of fucking words or we fill it with nothing.
That's it.
And we are not, there's like no in between there right now. And it talks about the inability. And I think if I were to surmise leadership in this moment, we don't have leadership prepared to meet this moment.
If let me ask y'all this, because again, to the two electeds on the set, of course, but I'm saying y'all have run and won and been sworn in. I guess my question is, we always say like these people are not meeting this moment. If you were in Washington right now, let's say you're in the Senate, you're one of the two that could get them to the 60 vote threshold to reopen the government. But you know that once they reopen the government, if this healthcare piece is not a part of that compromise, everybody's premiums are going up. Nobody's healthcare is affordable. Obamacare is no more. How would y'all meet the moment? That's different than what they're doing right now.
The first thing I'd be doing is sitting down with some soybean farmers. I'd have a white country redneck, just overall soybean farming. We'd just be sitting down having a cup of coffee and drip in 5 Points in Columbia, South Carolina, talking about the fact that he not able to sell no soybeans to his largest purchaser of soybeans. So I'm gonna sit down with him and we're gonna broadcast it and we're gonna send it all out so people can see the dichotomy of a older white rural farmer sitting down with this young Black elected official, right?
Well, I'm gonna push back because you just said a moment ago that what we always do is either fill it with words. Right, we fill the void with words, or we don't fill it with anything. So, aren't you doing more words if you do?
No, I'm actually. You're showing me listening to him about the pain. It's a video. I mean, we're going to clip it up. We're going to build the content out. We're going to go out there, and he's going to be able to. So people are able to see it and be like, man.
But what does that do for the furloughed worker? What does that do for the?
So that's not the only thing.
And it's not just white farmers, by the way.
Well, I get all of that, but I'm just saying. Oh no,
his optics.
We're talking about optics.
You're intentional about it.
I'm very intentional about the content that we're creating.
By the way, that intention is also the one that's been replicated in the Democratic Party in every election
Appealing
cycle
to whiteness.
going back since the Clintons. DLC is what he started. It were ideas, but they were ideas that by and large sidestepped and maligned Black folks.
Because
and we're still dealing with the consequences.
We still are dealing with the consequences, no doubt. But we also have that benefit of hindsight as well. Because during that time period, we forget that the Congressional Black Caucus, many of our leaders, right, were rallying around many of those same ideas, which in the light don't shine as brightly as people sold it to us to be.
And there were also people, however, at the time who understood that by making Mamie the image of what welfare in this country looked like had a lasting
correct.
Yeah.
Indubitably.
So Andrew, Bakari sitting down with a soybean farmer who is white and in rural South Carolina.
I'm organizing the shit out of every person of color that we can come into contact with. The way organizers do it. You go to where people are. That's where the pain is being felt. They have an agitation there. In fact, I said earlier,
like when you go out to organize, just talk to us like we're slow. You going out to organize, and your call to action is what? How are you bringing them in?
Knocking on doors. What are you saying?
So, we are readying ourselves for the moment at which we get to kick them out. We're readying ourselves for the moment he sends the National Guard into this city. We're readying ourselves to be first responders to our neighbors through the blood banks, the food banks, the whatever we're going to need in order to meet the basic needs of people. Because that's where the rubber is meeting the road. This is where people are complaining. This is where folks are going to need triage when they can't get into the doctor or to have that imperative surgery or whatever done.
So you're organizing around Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's the bottom level: food, water, shelter.
Because if we don't meet them there, who the hell
but
is
I mean,
going to believe us when
that,
we go and say,
I think that we, I mean, I think he's right, but I'm talking about also like, when you talk about meeting those people, I'm talking about calling, because I'm an elected official, as you said, right? So I'm talking about calling my local veterans hospital, getting their auditorium, having those federal workers who are there or whatever come in there, and we're gonna lay out the benefits that are available, talk about those issues, and we're gonna listen to what they say, and we're gonna do that at every veterans hospital so we can kill a couple birds with one stone. We're gonna stream it on YouTube and Facebook so people have the ability to do it. We're gonna make sure that each event that I have, even if it's that soybean farmer or I'm in the veterans hospital meeting with federal workers, I'm going to make sure that there's one or two people my staff touches, and they're going to be writing op-eds in local newspapers, because there's still people who read.
So are y'all, when you guys, because y'all are both still talking kind of, if when you go back to Washington to do your other part of your duty, are you voting yes to keep the government open, or are you still voting no?
No, and it's not yes to keep the government open. I'm voting yes to make sure people have health insurance.
You mean you're voting no to make sure?
No, I'm voting yes to.
I'm voting yes. We never frame it as a no.
Through my objection.
Oh, I see.
Through my objection, I'm yes.
So you not having to pay $300. Oh, you're voting no.
I am changing the framing.
Okay, I got it.
No healthcare, no vote.
And
got it.
I don't buy what they're doing.
For example, this week when Charlemagne asked us the question of whose fault is it, Republican or Democrat, you don't have to answer the question.
Unless you're right on the answer.
You can reject. You can reject the framing of the question because my objection is a yes for you to have access to healthcare.
I understood yours, and my answering yes that it is the Republicans' fault is because we have given ground that somehow there is some equality of responsibility at what's happening. There is no equality. We don't have shared anything. There's no shared power structure in Washington. There is single party rule in Washington right now. The president, the U.S. Senate, the U.S. House, and by the way, the U.S. Supreme Court, all run by the right. And also, so you want me to now take some portion of the blame for why we're here? Fuck that.
And also little unelected bureaucrats, which I think is a separate portion of government that we haven't addressed, because Donald Trump has empowered more unelected bureaucrats that fall outside of the three. So I think he's remade it. He has remade it and empowered it, because Elon Musk reported to no one.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't fall into any other. I mean, it's the way that we're analyzing this is like evolving under our eyes, because the traditional three branches of government, you can't really tell me where Elon Musk falls in this.
But the problem is that it didn't have to be that way. It didn't have to be that way because the system is set up for there to be checks on it. But when you're willing to give all of it away to one man,
Republicans didn't do their job.
The Supreme Court did that when they gave him criminal immunity, but you
brought
up Katie Porter.
Yes, Bakari, this is something you wanted to talk about. So
no, I just think that there used to be a time back when you were running for office, back when I was running for office in 2014, where every single interview mattered. Like people were. They may not have been hanging on your words for phrases or ideas, but they were looking at your demeanor, at your context. You know, people would pull you aside and say, man, I saw that interview on Nightly News last night, but you look tired. You can't get tired on the job, right?
That's right.
And it would kill your campaign or lift it up. And today, this week, I'm still learning how to podcast. This week, there was a video by Katie Porter and I don't even know the journalist that well or at all, but she did her journalism. She was journalism.
Katie Porter, being a current member of the United States Congress, who was a candidate for governor of
California.
The state of California.
I think she's former. I think she quit.
A former member.
Member of Congress, I'm saying this because she should know better.
Okay.
Member of
I should know
Congress.
better too. What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, ma'am?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. And so I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland, you don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't
I
think
feel
you
like
need
this
them
is
to win?
unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
Correct. And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered
I don't
our
care.
follow-ups.
I don't care.
You don't care.
I mean,
Let me just, for young folk who have made it this far in the hour watching us, let me advise you.
Don't ever do it.
Don't ever do no shit like that.
Yeah.
You know how young people come up to you all the time, I want to be an elected official. I don't know how to get elected. I can tell you what not to do.
Let me tell you how not to win a race.
Well, mostly because
Andrew,
it's,
you had your
it's
hand
just
on your
absent
head.
humility.
Yes.
There's if we're talking about voters reading you, because that's really what they're doing. They really don't know if your answer is the right answer or the wrong answer. But people are looking for the texture of who this person is. If you're going to lead me, what am I getting? And the kind of arrogance that is displayed by this former member or current member, I'm not sure, which, former member of Congress, when her simple answer should have been, what are you going to say to those 40% who voted for Trump? I'm going to do everything that I can to compete for their vote based off of the vision that I'm forwarding. I hope that 40% learned what a fraud, liar, and a cheat Donald Trump was to them. And I don't blame them for that.
Right.
I blame him, the liar. There's so much. I mean, you don't have to say, I'm going to capitulate and say that I'm going to do what Trump did. And da-da-da. You don't have to do any of that. Her arrogance is what stuck out the most to me. Her responses, there are a million ways to have dealt with that. But I've seen this in other Democratic politics. We probably all have all over the country, where there's this sense of entitlement that creeps in that tells you out loud somehow that there's certain things that are beneath your station, that you are beyond reproach on your votes. We played a couple of weeks back, those members of Congress, Asian Pacific Island members who were asked by their voters, how can I trust you? You voted for Charlie Kirk. And they turned around with such fury.
With attitude.
More hate for the person who was on their side asking them and holding them accountable than they were for the Republican members who put them in position to have to make a vote one way or another. I say all that to say, this is case in point, our leadership right now in the Democratic Party, that we have folks who are disconnected, who are out of touch, who have forgotten why they're in this thing.
And the other thing is, I would advise, as someone who, traffics in communication strategy a little bit, I would not advise a reporter that you cannot have follow-up questions.
I didn't even want to get to the tactic of it.
Well, I think that's
so basic.
The language was what threw me off. I mean, first of all, the lack of humility for me comes off in language. I'm the front runner. It's not something you should ever say, right? If somebody asks you about the electorate, like you said, you're going to compete because I'm not
For
going to
every
be. I'm
vote.
not governor of 60%.
Right.
I'm going to compete for every vote. Now this is also how you get beat by a Republican. If there was any Republican worth a skill in California, they take that 40%. They throw some wedges out there amongst Hispanic and Black voters. They start talking with people because right now, I don't know if she's going to sit down.
They would make it real simple. They say, you know what? Katie doesn't care about that 40.
But it's
I
also-
care about all 100. I'm going to be a governor for every single one of you.
I think it's also very Trumpian to attack the press. Like, this is a local
Where
reporter
we are.
interviewing a candidate, doing her job. For you to have the arrogance to tell her, it's your follow-up questions I don't like. Like, I don't need a follow-up.
I don't want this on camera.
Yes, and I don't have a follow-up. I mean, to me, I think there is a level of white woman entitlement to this too, that you feel like you have the authority over this interview because maybe ain't nobody ever told you you're not in charge and it's not going to go your way today. And you feel like you're entitled to these voters. You feel like you're entitled to control this interview. And then when you don't get your way, you're going to take your ball and go home. That doesn't appeal to me as a voter, as anybody.
She's not a one-off.
The last thing that I just want to
But
say.
that's what I was going
on
to say
this
about. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You were going to close it out.
No, because we can close this out. So if you feel
No, I was
strongly-
just going to say, like, look, I think, respectfully, I think calling it a white woman thing, although it probably has a great deal of truth, is kind of selling it short. Because we have a lot of older members, we have a lot of Black members, we have a lot of people who treat their voters and the press with a level of disdain that I don't want to discount.
Okay,
because I think
that might be fair.
I think it's a
I concede
cancer.
the point.
I think that arrogance is a cancer.
That's fair.
I think
It is
that's
pervasive.
the point.
And it's pervasive. I think it's more
What'd you say,
pervasive than
Angela?
that narrow. I mean, that's just what I see, but I
You
don't
agree with that?
I definitely have seen it. I think it's rare. I know a lot more members who are humble and treat everybody so kindly that it'll delay us getting somewhere if they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't see that like writ large, but I've definitely seen it.
Yeah.
I think the thing that is most troubling, I would normally, y'all know, especially for anybody in Congress, I'm going to try to find, well, maybe she was having a bad day. Maybe she was triggered by the question. I feel like the reporter at the beginning, we had some little asshole moves about her too. But the issue I have is this is what Katie's staff said she did every day in the office. So
Yeah.
I ain't got nothing for you, Katie.
I didn't think she was an asshole. I thought she was doing her job. She's not her
I
friend.
could see
She's
it.
not a
But you know,
campaign
pressure
manager.
moments
She's there to
reveal.
press you for answers.
These
You know
pressure
what?
moments,
That's her
these
job.
when that
Speaking of pressure, I'm going to pressure y'all to get to calls to action.
Oh, wait,
How
but
about
before we
that?
get to calls to
before we
action,
get to
because
that.
I do want to talk about this football player. Bakari, you will learn
it
that
can be my call to action, actually.
Okay, well, I just wanted
Well,
you
she's
to
our resident sports
Thank you. Normally sports is my
Sports ball.
thing, but I will let you make it your call to action because I actually wanted to hear
Yeah,
your
no,
take
I
on it.
think that Kyron Lacey, God rest his soul, is someone who took his life at a really, really young age. And
How old?
asking me all
20?
these difficult questions
I
about a
don't.
journalist.
I really wanted to know
He
how
was
old
a
he was.
former college football player at Louisiana State University, an amazing wide receiver. He was really good friends with Malik Neighbors, who plays not far from where we're broadcasting here with the New York Giants. He went through this process whereby there was an accident that occurred. 25. And he's 25. And when the accident occurred, of course, he went through this a criminal process. We're still adjudicating the fairness of that criminal process. I have a problem with the DA's silence because the young man is dead. And so there is no privy to a closed investigative file because the person is dead that you're charging. That is now open public record. We can have a full dialogue about what you saw, why you charged the way you did, and a certain level of transparency. But I don't want to go into the facts too much of this case. I would prefer to talk about the fact that we persecute and prosecute people on social media in our daily conversations without knowing the full state of the facts, without knowing the well-being of the individual we're talking about, without knowing the reasoning or the full context. And we have been conditioned in this age, this kind of McDonaldized world where everything has to be fast, everything has to be quick, and we do it without any level of grace. And so my call to action, my first call to action is to make sure that as we go forward, even if you don't know Kyron Lacey or his mother no longer has a son, right? I want us to proceed with a certain level of grace throughout this political process. And I know that there are people who say, well, there's certain people who don't deserve grace. Let me just tell you this. It's a lot easier to give yourself grace if you practice giving others grace.
That's so
I found
true.
the opposite. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
For sure.
it is really hard to give yourself grace when you.
I mean, grace is such a fascinating word because it's what I deduce, and I'm playing with the word a lot, spiritually and otherwise. That it's something that we literally don't give others enough of, or ourselves. We're so hard on ourselves, and the reason is because it's reflected in the way that we treat others. I mean, you can't turn it off and on.
Honestly, I'm guilty of that too. Of not giving people grace or weighing in on a conversation that perhaps I don't have a place. One of our friends is on a podcast, and he had an ugly exchange with this woman, and I wasn't as familiar with the woman. And I just thought, I don't like how she dismissed his point. I didn't like it. And then later it came out that the two used to date. And I'm like, see, this is why you need to mind your business, because I didn't even know all that, you know?
I could have predicted that one.
I did, because she was like, I mean, do you have an issue? I mean, they were going back and
how
forth.
Energy comes off, and you like, therefore.
Yeah. Well, I was like, this is why I should just keep you.
Something
I don't need to weigh in with an opinion on everything. Is it my turn to go on?
I guess so.
Yes. Okay, all right.
Keep going.
Okay. So my call to action, I'm going to actually tell you about my weekend plans because it's part of my call to action. So you guys know that I am roommates with Michael Harriet and his lovely wife, Karen. Yes, they don't know that I'm officially a roommate. I've been there many times. They've never invited me. I'm a squatter. Thank you. I am a squatter. I want to say happy birthday to Michael Harriet, the amazing author of Black AF history that is still on the New York Times bestseller. It was 2 years later, which is crazy. But he is having a Sinners birthday party that is all about the theme is the movie Sinners, and we're all dressing up in our juke joint attire. It's in the deep South, and people from all over the country are flying in from LA, from New York, from all over, from Georgia, from Mississippi, from Alabama, from Tallahassee, everywhere. And so my call to action is, in these times, we are giving ourselves permission this weekend to have Black joy, to celebrate not only our history and that time period, the beautiful Black art that was created in the movie Sinners. We are coming together to dance, to laugh. Mike is an Omega. A lot of Omegas are coming. It's going to turn into a big Omega hop. But it's just a beautiful evening. And so I just want to encourage other people. Have your Black joy. Oh, and I want to give a quick shout out to Angela and I. We have a wonderful makeup artist. I almost forgot. Who has this new line. This one is called Girl on Girl. The other one is what?
It's called what now?
Millionaire Sex.
Girl on Girl and Millionaire Sex.
What you use?
No, they're body oils. They smell so good and they smell so good.
We're both wearing them today.
What you smell like though?
Let him smell
like
it.
honeycomb.
It smells like a girl on girl.
Billie Jean is our makeup artist, and so he gave us this, but also like does our makeup and takes us through metamorphosis. He was doing Angela's makeup, and I was rushing, and Angela
that actually does smell good.
She said, "You're not gonna wear me out this morning," and I let them continue. But
it's called Billie Jean Body.
Yes,
I mean the name is intriguing.
All of the names of his body oils are very provocative.
Yes,
my call to action is again, you all, this is our 100th episode. We've technically done a lot more, but this is our 100th main episode. My encouragement to you all is, if you didn't learn enough about Bakari, make sure you check him out. Follow him on socials. His numbers are down way too low for us. We actually need him to come up. At Bakari Sellers, make sure that you follow him quickly. You can catch him on CNN as well. And the last thing I'll say is we also launched our Substack with this 100th episode. We want you all to focus there as well. I'm hoping I can get all these guys to write on there, as well as to do some Substack lives on their own pages, as well as on our Native Land Pod page. So that is our way to welcome you home and to come even closer into this community. Andrew Gillum.
I said we were supposed to have like toast drinks and stuff to 100.
Oh, that would have been
some mocktails for everybody.
It shows how much they listen to your input.
Well,
on the show.
I didn't
evidence.
Andrew, what did you say?
I definitely would have done it.
I remember I said, and you were like, "Yeah, we'll have to remember that."
Did you remind me? I don't remember
good Jew.
Yes. Or like do it.
We'll get back to that.
Or just go do it.
We'll get back to that. Because
we should.
We can do it on social after.
Okay.
Yes.
What she said. That's my call to order. Get us some champagne.
We'll eat.
Right now you're on the 4, so this is your camera right here.
Which one? In front
right
of us?
there. Oh,
I didn't know. I was told it was that one. Okay. Well, how about this? None of the cameras.
No, right there.
Y'all matter. Keep listening. Keep subscribing. We do have new family joining us. I want y'all to stick with us. This is a growing experience for us. Yes.
Yes.
But it's also one for you all, our viewers, our family, our peeps. We were out to dinner last night and ran into a lot of folks who listen, subscribe, and take a lot of information and guidance from the show. And if it is a gift, and I believe it is, share it with people. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and bring some other folks into the fold. Welcome home.
There are 390 days left until midterm elections. And Bakari, we always close out the show with what Andrew just said.
Elections are going to happen.
Welcome home, y'all.
Oh, welcome home. I didn't. Let's do it one more time because I was confused on
No.
that.
Yeah, let's
Okay, I agree. 1, 2, 3. Welcome home, y'all. Oh, okay. We got some singing.
I'm mad I didn't know what camera was mine the whole time.
T-Pain, help him out. Help him out.
Welcome home to the native. Landing on a podcast space destined for greatness. 60 minutes or so hit. Not too long for the grave ship. High level combo. Politics in a way that you can taste it. Then digest it. Politics touches you even if you don't touch it.
Native Land Pod is a production of iHeartRadio in partnership with Reason Choice Media.